father passed away, and she's, the distillery has been handed on to her. And unfortunately, her father's left her in quite a situation because the distillery financially is on its last legs. So what she's trying to do is basically, she feels responsible for this position because it's her father that's put everybody in this position. So she wants to try and rectify this to some extent.
He classes himself as the best collector in the world of rare whiskies. And this Yomo, the Japanese guy, he thinks his father is the best collector. But so there's that kind of rivalry between the two of us right away. There's only two of us turn up because we have to go to Glenigma to get the whisky. We're not allowed to just bid for it online. The reason being they wanted us to see the place and kind of fall in love with it. When we get there, it's a bit of a disappointment. We think anyway, it's like, this is it.
Gee, it certainly is remote.
Remote central, eh?
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
Previously on Lost.
Yeah.
I feel myself as a theatrical performer, so musical theater is my first choice. Probably yes. So, but if you look at the musical theater works, not many musical theater works have Japanese character in it.
And the north wind, can we glimpse it? Is it simply to love being alive? It comes from
He's the old stillsman in the distillery of Glenigma. And he's been like an uncle to Mary McGregor, who's now running the distillery, or basically it's been run down, so she's selling it, or she's selling the bottle. And we've been with it since the start. Ailith McCormick, who's playing Mary McGregor, and myself have been with it since we first did it in Ullapool. God, it must be 4 years ago, I think. And it's changed a lot since then. It's grown up a lot. It's got much more depth to it. Well, I think he was just a grumpy old man to start out with, and now he's become much more caring, much more sort of the heart of the piece in one way. Not completely the heart of the piece, but one element of it. He's there to steer Mary through and to protect her and to look after her and just to try and just keep her right. Oh, we're deeply into the second week, which means it's chaos. It's everything's sort of up in the air, and yet some things we know, some things we don't know. Everyone's trying to run before they can walk. It's the hardest part of the rehearsal process, I think. End of the third week, when you're under pressure, gets a lot easier because you're just doing it, and you've learned it by then, and you might be forgetting bits, but you know where you're going.
I can liken myself to her in a lot of ways, in that she's travelled from essentially a beautiful country, Australia, and like myself, travelling from South Africa, going around the world and ending up in Scotland, and people are always like that, but you've left the weather, what is wrong with you? But I've fallen in love with the place, and I think she's the same. I think she's come halfway across the world to discover herself and kind of go, wow, I feel like I really belong somewhere, and is quite surprised by the fact that she's fallen totally in love with not only Scotland but the people. For me, the music has been wonderfully challenging. I feel really challenged. I'm singing like top B's and way up there, and then I'm singing like way down in my lower voice, and I'm loving it. I feel like I haven't had a lot of time to kind of put Alice on the stage just yet, and I feel like this week, second week, suddenly kind of she's coming into play again, and I'm understanding how she is linked to Mary and how the two of them kind of enable each other to go on separate journeys. Mary's journey is kind of, I'm the catalyst in that, in some sense. Alice kind of comes in and goes, come on girl, you can do it, and pushes her along. And in the same way, I think Mary turns around and goes, you need to calm down, think of consequences, don't go rushing ahead. So that's a really nice relationship. We got a week left. One and a half. So I kept on saying to myself, I'm going to be off book by the end of this week, but I still find myself going, whoa, where's my music? only because there's so much to do. But I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really awesome, and I think we're onto something really special here.
I'm playing Jeff, who is the American PA to the lead character Ben, and I'm also choreographing this little whoop-de-doo, which is great fun, because we had to go lots of different styles. We go from a very sort of Scottish, quasi-Scottish country dance style into sort of hoedown style, and we've got a big Broadway opening, so it's good fun. It's great fun for me. The foreigners are not the baddies. So both the Americans and the Japanese characters, they're not coming in and taking, they're not baddies, they're interesting characters. They're no worse than the people that actually live in Scotland, so I really found that very attractive. Yeah. I also suggest a gay character, and it's still important that you have gay characters in mainstream theatre, so it made perfect sense for me to continue the great tradition. I have a couple of revelation scenes when I realised, wait a minute, I like this place more than I thought I was going to, because we've come to this place from America, and it's the Highlands, you know what that means. And my initial response is, oh, this is very remote, and then I start to fall in love with it, and I meet somebody who I like, and he kind of likes me, so that's sort of working out quite well. So that's quite an interesting development for the character. And then I have a whacking great solo in the second half, which is terribly difficult to sing, and that's like so lovely to have a challenging piece of music to bite into. Yeah. So that's one thing you would be very careful about in this size of production, is making sure that it is about the music. It's a musical. So the music has to come first, and then the movement goes on top. But it's, again, everybody's done so much stuff. They're a very talented cast, and it's been very much cast to strength. So I'm just getting to grab hold of the things that are already there and tickle them, which is lovely. Lovely for me. You know, to have that creativity handed to me is fantastic.
Dunk is a young guy, kind of early 20s, and he works in the distillery, and he works with Alice and Mary and Lackey, and he's kind of a nice guy. He's the only gay in the village, but he's not overly camp or anything. He's just very sure of himself, very sure kind of character, and he has a bit of a relationship with Jeff, who comes over from America, and it's nothing too seedy or anything. It's just basically he just has a good relationship with Jeff, and he's always there to help. So he's kind of Mary's wee friend on the side that kind of always helps her out. I think just learning all the music, and also like Jim Bryce, who's wrote the music, a great score. But it's obviously we want to do justice for him. But we've got a great MD, Karen McIver, who's basically been teaching us over the past 3 weeks. But it's because it's a new musical. It's not like going into Les Mis or doing Guys and Dolls or anything. It's like a new musical. So it's been a bit hard, kind of getting all the learning all the music. But we've got there, hopefully remember it all.
Who is the villain of the piece, really. He works for the government, for a kind of agency which is concerned with the preservation of the malt whisky culture in the Highlands. And so they have a vested interest in this bottle, which is going to be auctioned for a vast amount of money. And he comes in just at the moment when it's likely to earn the village £1 million, and says that the government's requisitioning the bottle, and they have a maximum offer of £5,000, so the village suddenly plummets into despair. You know, basically what he wants to do is to preserve the past rather than keep the culture alive and developing, which is the only sensible thing to do. So, you know, everybody's doing multiple things. I spent a lot of my life working as a musician as well as an actor, so I'm slotting into scenes that I'm not playing my characters in, to play additional instruments in the band.